Brodes Media.
I've been waiting for this day. Not for any particular reason. Seriously, I don't find joy in this at all. It's actually disgusting, and I'm sick that we have to talk about Eagles drama instead of excitement and what this team can be and how they can be awesome. No, there's a problem with the culture. There's a problem with the head coach. There's a problem with Jaylen Hurts. But there's a reason why these discussions are constantly happening. Because they're true. And if you don't want to believe certain reporters, you have every right to play that card. I'd say you're foolish. I'd say you're getting pissed on and you're being told it's raining and you're just agreeing with it. Oh, okay, let's just rain. That's what you're experiencing. And by all means, you're entitled to feel that piss if you enjoy the piss. I don't enjoy the piss. I enjoy greatness. I'm not getting greatness. And we'll talk about it. A lot of different reports being made. Derek Gunn, Carton, Santa Laquido, the list goes on. And that's what happens, though, when you have one of the most historic collapses in Philadelphia sports history. You do realize that the old ones out there say, hey, this reminds me of the 60s. The Phillies in the 60s. The 60s. 60 years ago. This is such a traumatic experience that people that lived through that 60s Phillies collapse says that this relates to that. Took 60 years to have another team that hit rock bottom the way that team hit rock bottom. It's unprecedented. When that's the case, there's obviously real turmoil, and there's something breaking down at the core inside those NovaCare complex walls. You have to believe it. So here's Derek Gunn, who posted this on Twitter late Wednesday afternoon, so I guess maybe Wednesday evening. He says this: according to some sources, Jalen and his big contract, it pulled him in numerous directions on and off the field and put him under a lot of pressure that he didn't handle well. Big Dom's suspension, well, that controls Sirianni's emotions on the sidelines. In his absence, Nick gets in numerous arguments with players and coaches during games. Hold on a second, Nick. Come on, Nick. What do you do? What do you do? Because now you have zero control of the offense. Kellen Moore was hired to run his show. He's now calling plays, too. So that is not what you do. And you can't control your emotions. You don't do that either. What do you do? The fact that you're supposed to be a leader of men, there's a lot of testosterone out there. There's a lot of high emotional guys putting their life on the line in the trenches, and you can't control. You got to be the steady hand. That's your job. That's what you get hired to do. When the emotions get high, you don't get high. You don't get high at all. You have to lower it. You have to drop it. And I don't want to hear for a damn second, well, Brodes, what a hypocrite, because look at you right now. This is my job. My job is to let you know how I feel. And I'm disgusted. Okay, I'm very angry that Nick has control of this. Well, but he doesn't. That's the issue. He doesn't have any control, but yet on paper and in theory, he's the head coach of the football team. Nobody respects him. If it takes Big Dom to stop whatever you were about to do, and without him, you're a lost cause, and you're just free-firing like you should be in an insane asylum, and the straitjacket's off, and now you're going bonkers running the streets. Now you're picking fights with players, and you're picking fights with your own coaching staff, and the difference in that happening or not is another man watching you. It's crazy. What are we doing? What type of leader is that? What type of guy are you having with the head coach title? I cannot understand. To the Jaylen Hurts front, this relates to something Santa Laquido posted on Bleeding Green Nation in about the middle of the season or so, somewhere around there. There's something happening here, okay? There is something happening here, and the Jaylen Hurts contract, he's 25 years old, And if he's dealing with a lot like Jordan Brand, and you know how much Michael Jordan means to him and the influence that has had on his life, and he's on covers of magazines, and he's doing some modeling, and he's got a big brand with a lot of women supporting him, and he makes sure that his agent gets the love that she deserves, and the people around him who are hardworking women get all the love, and I love that, and I appreciate all of it. But I'm saying when you have that much on your table, you're working with a billion different endorsements, you get that fat bag, it is a lot. And for a 25-year-old, I understand. I don't know that happening in my life. I'm walking around. But I do understand how maybe that can impact you, is my point. To that, though, you better figure it out. That's part of this. You get paid to be an excellent quarterback. I need you to find a way throughout the big money, throughout all the endorsements, to be that great quarterback. If this is a speed bump in the road, okay, I can understand that. He's a young man. I get it. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot. I get it. I love his work ethic. I love his ability to be dedicated to the craft. I love the way that he handles himself. There's things that have to be worked on. Whether it's part of his DNA or not, and the stoicness and all that, I mean, you do have to find a way to tweak your personality to make this thing all work, but I don't think he's unaware of this. And I do feel that if you actually deep down study this and internalize it and try your very best to make some of those personality changes in the room, I don't think it's impossible. It didn't seem to be an issue a few years ago when he was doing his thing. So maybe it's all as simple as when Kellen Moore gets to put his hands all over this offense and they could pick up a blitz, right? Step one, pick up a blitz when you're playing a team that has Todd Bowles as their head coach. The obvious worst send in the house guys. That's step one. Once we figure that out and then the scheme actually makes sense, then Jaylen Hurts and his personality isn't as much of a problem. Maybe it's that simple. Maybe it is. But, I think that there's a fracture between him and A.J. Brown. I do believe that. You just be a fool to sort of discredit and disregard all of this stuff in totality. You don't just collapse from the sky for no reason. That doesn't happen. There's a cause and an effect. There's reasons why. And why you're not able to bounce back is also significant to me, because if things were okay, then you would have been like the Kansas City Chiefs. Struggled for a while, but when you got to pull together, you pull together. There's just no other way of talking about this other than he's a straight-up donkey. Okay, so this was the one that was the most famous, making the rounds across the airwaves, and this is from Fox Sports 1. It's Carton talking about some potential stuff happening in the room. Let's do it.
The biggest question facing the Eagles is, what do you know about what happened?
Yeah, that season.
I don't want you to tell.
I can tell you that it is a problem that would splinter any group of men. Any group of men. It is a real significant problem.
Yeah, I know what it is.
It cannot be fixed. I will tell you that.
It's what you do. Money we to live. No, women. Oh,
so, I'm not going to say any more than that. But I know what the problem was. I know they're trying to fix it. And I don't think it can be fixed. So it would be very interesting to see if a high-profile player is no longer with the Eagles going into this season. And by the way, maybe he will be. But I'll be interested to see if he is.
I don't like what that implies. There's no doubt in my mind there's something to what he's saying. Oh, there's no doubt about it. The way he said it, the obnoxiousness of it, it implies that there's women involved, because what could potentially break a male bond, especially one that type, if it is AJ, right? And that's the crazy part, is I'm jumping to conclusions. But when you prepare for a show and you make that type of claim and you make that statement and you word it the way you do, the way you phrase it, well, then it implies certain things. Sort of like how I just organically brought up AJ Brown. It implies that, but it implies, regardless of who, that there's women involved. Nothing else breaks men like that. Oh, no men could ever come back from that. The only thing that can really hit home to that level is sleeping with a woman. And that's ridiculous, right? But that's just reality of where we are. And I don't like that. Now, I do think there's real, legitimate, fractured, serious relationships in that room. And I wouldn't be surprised if Howie Roseman's doing some things behind the scenes.